Okay, on to number 2. A local park is hosting a mountain bike race. During each race, a computer tracks the competitor's location on the course using GPS tracking. The table shows how far each competitor is from the checkpoint. This is the second time I've done this problem, so actually the third. So sorry I highlighted it earlier, but this is the key ideas. The first part does not need to be highlighted. It's just additional information. I should always look at what's in the table. I've got a number, so this is probably what the racers wear, competitor's name, and the distance from the checkpoint. So it says the checkpoint is represented. The checkpoint is represented by 0 on the number line. Okay, if I could do this, I would label my checkpoint. It says plot. Don't call me Little Willie for nothing. It's plot with a dot. And it says label. Okay, now some people wanted to label the number. You could do that. That wouldn't necessarily be wrong, but a competitor's name would be a lot easier for somebody else to follow. So, and plot and label the position of each participant. Okay, so I'm going to say position and use rational numbers to label the number line. Rational numbers are negatives and positive whole numbers and fractions that do not go on forever. Or decimals, excuse me, that do not go on forever. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at our number line here. So we don't know what scale we need. Now, if I was capable of it, I would highlight. This is a picture, so I can't highlight before, past, but I would do that because it's going to help me make sense of my problem. If we look down here, if something is before the checkpoint, it's going to be negative. Another problem in this problem is that they are a combination of fractions and decimals, and the fractions have different denominators. So the easiest thing to do is make all of these look the same. So I could either make them all decimals or all fractions with the same denominator. I personally prefer working in decimals, so for this problem, that's how I'm going to tackle it. So Florence, I like her a lot. She's already in a decimal form, so 0/10. But she's before, so I need to get a negative in here. Sorry, I can't write on the side here. So I'm going to just go ahead and do it over here or down below. Mary is 2/5. Now, 2/5 isn't so nice because it's not out of 10. So what I can do to make it out of 10 is, this is not going to look correct at all, you guys. I can't do it with my computer, but I should multiply both the top and the bottom by 2 because that'll give me 4 on top and 10 on the bottom. I knew I had to use 2 because I had to go from 5 to 10. Okay, now when I say this number out loud, 4/10, boom, it's already in decimal form. So 4/10. Okay, and I want to go back up. That's past, so it's okay. It doesn't need to be negative. And then I've got Rebecca, also a fan of Rebecca because she's already in the correct decimal form that I want to make everything into. And she's before, so I got to slide a negative in here. I'm going to come down, and I'm going to go ahead and get Lita. She's 1/2 mile. Now, my guess is you can probably look at 1/2 and know the decimal form, but let's pretend we couldn't. We need to get it into a 10 on the bottom, a denominator of 10, so I can multiply the top and the bottom by the same number, which is going to be 5, to get 5/10. Okay, so again, I went 2 times 5 to get 10, 1 times 5 to get 5. And if I say that out loud, 5/10, boom, decimal form, 5/10. Okay, oh, and I gotta check. Lydia's passed, so we're okay. And then Nancy, I like Nancy quite a bit too because she's already in 2/10, which I know is represented as 0 and 2/10. Okay, so now Nancy's before. I gotta double check. I'm gonna check my befores and afters because it's late and I'm exhausted. Florence, negative, yes. Past for Mary, positive. Before Rebecca, yes. Past for Lita, yes. And before. Okay, so I got them. Now, in terms of figuring out my the best scale, I had a better way of thinking about this. So I want to look at absolute value for a moment because it's going to tell me how small I need for tick marks or how many tick marks I need. And then I'm going to look at my largest absolute value, which is 5/10 or negative 5/10 or negative 5/10, right? And so if I think about this, if I were to label this 1, this would be 2. And I could put them on here. But if I think about that negative 5/10, it'd be here in the middle. And 1/10 could be kind of hard to show. Getting 10 different sections within here could be kind of hard. So then my next option is to think, okay, do I need to go smaller or bigger? If I were to just go bigger, sometimes I get stuck and I just got to try it. So if I go bigger, then I'm at 2. Whoa, now to get tenths on here, I'd have to cut it into 20 parts. So I got to go smaller. I was at 1 to begin with. Smaller, I could try 1/2. Let's think about that. 1/2, boom, Rebecca could go right here. And then Florence, to get a 10th, if I have this as a 5/10, then I could chop this up into 5 pieces and get Florence right about here. Now I'm having computer problems getting this on here, so I actually took a picture of my paper so you could see. So I went ahead and did this, and I don't have to label every tick mark. I can do like we did with the double number lines, where I pick a scale and then I zoom in and put more tick marks to help me place people on the number line. And if I go above, I had 1, 2, 3 people that were before the checkpoint and 2 after, so that looks right. I went ahead and labeled finish line on here because I know a checkpoint's where you get water, medical care, that sort of thing, and then you finish at the finish line. So which competitor is closest? If I look at my diagram, closest, sorry guys, this is not going to be my best video ever. Closest checkpoint, and we need to explain. Okay, remember I'm proficiency grading, so I'm going to first identify the person. Florence, this is actually a top secret question. Closest is talking about distance, which is talking about absolute value. So Florence is 1/10 from the checkpoint. Now, as we discussed in class, though, in order to make a comparison, I actually have to compare 2 things. Because if you say Miss Willie's tall, it's going to depend on if we're looking at her compared to Mr. Benet, or next to somebody in the primary school. So, Florence is 1/10 from the checkpoint. I could say, while Rebecca is, wait, not Rebecca, sorry guys. Nancy is 2/10. So Florence is 1/10 closer. Okay, now I'm trying to show you what highly proficient would look like on here. So not only have I said that Florence wins at 1/10 from the checkpoint, but I also compare to Nancy, the next closest, and tell you why Florence is closer. Okay, now down here, 2 competitors are the same distance from the checkpoint. Are they at the same location? So I look up here and I see that Rebecca and Lita are both 5/10 from 0, but they're actually on opposite sides. So in this question, I can tell that they're asking again about distance, which is referring to absolute value. So Rebecca, and who was it? Rebecca and Lita are both 5/10 from the checkpoint. Oh, I gotta hurry. But my recording's gonna shut off. But they are on opposite sides. Negative 0.5 and 0.5. Which Who's closer to finishing the finish line? Florence or Nancy?